Hello, Mr. Schwartz and members of the board. My name is Joel, and I am proud to introduce my colleagues, Margaret and Melissa. We're here to talk to you today, of course, about Pizza Hut. We currently have two very distinct worlds that you're trying to benefit. In one world, we have a child that is starving and can't survive because he's not getting enough food. In another world, we've got a mom that simply wants to get pizza on the table for her young kids. What we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the situation that we've analyzed, a few alternatives that we consider, and the recommendation that we're proud to present, and then how you can implement that to drive your business forward.
So before we show you a plan on how to connect these two worlds with an integrated marketing campaign, we wanted to make sure we had a good grasp of what you're facing right now. So we looked into it and we've identified, I think what you've identified yourself is that you have all of these different mediums for a digital marketing campaign, but nothing's working together and you haven't strategized to make sure it's working to its optimal potential. So the first thing that we have here is that there's changing trends in the digital market as well as the industry that you're in. Secondly, you have fragmented marketing communications. And thirdly, you have a strong competitor that's really capitalizing on these changing trends I touched on. So first off, this is where you stand. It's an enviable position. You have just under a fifth of a $40 billion industry in the United States. And that's great, that's awesome, but it's changing. There's things like health concerns, there's different options that people can use that are impacting your industry. Secondly, the way that people are accessing your product is changing fundamentally. Online ordering, and not just ordering, but interacting with brands is changing. And it's now all online, and people are going to be using social media channels way more frequently than they have been in the past. So, pizza consumption is changing. Secondly, as I mentioned, you have these different platforms that you're using. You have this app that's worked really well for you so far, has great functions for your users. You also have your computer where people are accessing your social media channels, you're using your fundraising through there, as well as your stores. Across all of these, they're able to order. But the issue is that one medium isn't necessarily driving your consumers to another medium and eventually resulting in sales. And we're going to show you how an integrated digital marketing campaign will help bring everything together. And finally, as you've noticed yourself, your sales are stagnant across the board, but one of your biggest franchisees, their sales are decreasing, or they have in the last quarter. So this is a recent trend. It doesn't mean it's going to last forever, but it's something you need to take notice of right away. What I mentioned earlier is how your industry is changing. Online ordering is way more frequent. Your nearest competitor that has the closest market share to you, Domino's, is capitalizing on these trends way more efficiently than you are. And in order to stay competitive in this changing market, you need to make sure that you're fully using your capabilities to communicate to your consumers.
Excellent. So before we move into our recommendation, we want to make sure that we're frameworking this recommendation based on the following decision criteria. So we want to make sure to resolve the first sub-issue that Margaret touched on, is that we're differentiating and dominating in the market because Domino's is doing a really good job so far. We want to make sure that we're capitalizing on the changing trends with users, and we also want to make sure that it's an integrated communication link with the PR of the money that we're trying to raise, as well as the rest of the digital communications across the board. So we have considered three alternatives. The first one that we thought about was something that would be Proceeds Day. So what we would do here is we would use social media and digital communications to get people to go to the store, and for one day, if they bought a pizza, maybe 10% of the proceeds would go towards the World Fund. And unfortunately, we are a franchise, so it would be way too big of a barrier of entry to sell every single franchise on this, because that would be their profits that they're losing. And if we tried to get this approved by the Franchise Approval Board, we're looking at something that would take over a year. So we're not going to consider that. Then we thought, why don't we use social media and those online communities to almost gamify the charity and get people to team up and maybe see if they could compete with each other, maybe different university groups or something, to try and see who could raise the most money. Unfortunately, we don't think that this would be competitive against our competitors, and we don't think that that would necessarily create a strong link with the rest of our communications. So our third alternative that we considered was toppings to end hunger. We thought about the process that people go through when they're ordering a pizza, and they can choose pepperoni. They could choose to maybe add pineapple. And why not choose to add a topping that would actually end hunger? So this is the decision, or this is the alternative that we're going to move forward with our recommendation. So let's understand who we're targeting. Primarily, we're going to be targeting moms and the head of the household that's making those decisions on what's for dinner. These, even though it's a big trend that there's kind of a younger generation that are eating a lot of pizzas, they're buying one pizza, whereas someone that's trying to feed a family is buying several. And in terms of donations, who's this message going to resonate with more? Helping feed children. Let's talk to moms. Our secondary target is the general 18 to 24 target that will hopefully have the same message resonate, but we're really going to focus in on those moms and the heads of households. So let's talk about reaching our target. Let's think about what people do when they are going to get pizza or order pizza. We want to get them to transition to coming online. So maybe they make a phone call and they order that pizza. Why not have a text message be sent to them saying, your pizza is ready for delivery. Next time, feel free to click on this link and you can use our online ordering system. This gets them right where you want them. You don't have to have a poster with a link to remember and then go home and type it in your computer later on. Right when they have that device that's sending them a text message with a message that they want to hear, their pizza's ready, they can use that app. It'll sync with whichever device they're using, and then that'll get them on the online ordering process. Then once they're there, we can talk to them about choosing those different toppings and choosing the opportunity to donate. We're also going to use online strategies like Google AdWords, so that when people type in, where am I going to get pizza, we're going to pop up and we're going to be one of their options. And then we're also going to use social media to always just be driving them towards that website where they can make the order and they can make that donation as well. So understanding their target. Why do people use social media? I've heard some people consider it kind of like a visual resume. You know, like this is the face that you're really choosing to send out to the world. So if I wanted to look like someone that's really philanthropic, why wouldn't I have stuff all over my wall that says, Joel just donated to like end hunger, right? I think that's a pretty powerful message. And that's something that's going to resonate with moms. Yes, the young moms that are like 35 and whatnot are on Facebook, and they're going to use it for that image crafting when they're in the process. And we're also going to get them to sign on via Facebook when they're making their accounts to order the pizza. And so that'll create the link right away. Because currently we have the slice of hope, but it's going to take more than a slice to end hunger.
Thanks, Joel. So what we really discovered you need today is an integrated marketing communications strategy. And what that's going to do is increase your online ordering and then increase your donations. And what we propose to you today is toppings to end hunger. This is going to integrate everything you have, really leverage those social media channels you're great at, and boost up that online ordering by connecting everything together and making it easy for your customers to use. So as you see, the three on the top there, those are our issues that we've identified earlier. So the need for digital marketing strategy. And the three boxes below, mobile campaign fits the needs of the market, the cohesive, clear communications across all mediums, and that it meets and surpasses Domino's success are all the recommendations that are going to help you create this integrated campaign, as I've already mentioned. So let's really get into this recommendation. How does Toppings to End Hunger work? Well, essentially we want you to keep partnering with the World Hunger Foundation. We want you to keep sending that message that Pizza Hut cares about health and the environment and about their customers. And we want you to take that campaign, Share a Slice of Hope, and revamp it. Make it something that's interactive and cool and exciting for your customers to use. And so if you take a look on the left there, Share a Slice of Hope, it creates one-time donations. Whereas Toppings to End Hunger, we're going to show you how this can create repeat donations. Share a Slice of Hope is anonymous, and because of that, there's little customer impact, especially after they've made the donation. So therefore, there's little repetition. Whereas you see, Toppings to End Hunger,
you actually get recognition for what you're donating, and therefore, you're going to have a proceeding action, which is going to lead to a lasting impact and then repetition. So this is a very sustainable recommendation, and as we go on further, I'll explain why. So the first element you asked us to do, the digital ordering online. What is this going to look like? Well, as soon as your customers go onto your website to order a pizza, or even on their app to order a pizza, they're going to input their Facebook, Twitter, or email, and that's going to track their information. And so by doing that, it just creates an easier way for you to take down their information and an easier way for them to order every time they log in, as well as creating that natural link to their social media. And what we want you to do is 80% of Pizza Hut branding, 20% toppings to end hunger. And by doing so, you're very true to the Pizza Hut brand still, but 20% is quite a bit, and people are going to be very aware of this campaign. Now, I'm going to take you through a walkthrough of how this works. So, picture Jennifer, a 34-year-old mom with 2 children. She needs to buy dinner. How has she heard about Pizza Hut? Well, maybe she ordered one last week, and then she got that text that Joel was saying, help us end hunger, order online through our app or our website. So this week she needs to get dinner. She clicks on the link, she's taken to the mobile app. Now she's in the process of buying a pizza. She selected her crust, she wants cheese, and now onto the toppings. Do you want to add salami? Do you want to add extra cheese? Do you want to end hunger? And the pricing we want to recommend is the exact same price as a topping. So you're thinking, I could order mushrooms, I could order extra cheese, or I could feed 3 people. What's the choice going to be for the customer? And that's something that's going to resonate with them when they're comparing how many people they can feed to feeding their family, which maybe doesn't need that extra topping on their pizza. So once she's done that, she's about to pay, and then there's a message that pops up. Continue to help us end hunger, and share this on Facebook or Twitter with your friends. So now that she's shared it, she's actually going to get recognition for it. So going a little bit deeper into this recognition, it's going to be on a personal level and a national level. So what we want to do is create a live map. On the personal level, it's going to show where the person lives in the United States, and then track it all the way to the city or the country where the food has been given to, where people have been helped. And so what's going to show up on a personal map every time you donate is January 28th, 3 mouths fed. And as customers donate more and more time and time again, they're building up this live map that they have, and they're able to share it through Facebook and Twitter so that their friends can see that perhaps if they want to portray this really philanthropic image, well, that's the person that they are. And on a national level, we want you to create a live map that's even grander, that's really going to get people's attention. So a live map on pizzahut.com, showing all of the donations that have been made in the United States and all of the cities or countries that have been helped across the world. So imagine you're on this live map, you're looking at all the donations you've made, and then all of a sudden 2 new dots appear because 2 new donations have been made. And that's something that's very visual and easy to understand, that's going to reward people because they feel, first, connected to the people they're helping halfway across the world, and 2, like they've got something for themselves that they can now share with their friends. So it's a benefit to your company, to the country that's receiving the help, and to your customer. And quickly touching on the results, you see that this is creating this integrated digital marketing campaign that's going to boost those online orders and also help your PR in terms of donations. So this is all happening because you're communicating a very clear message. Everybody knows what toppings to end hunger means. It's very simple. You're adding a topping and you're feeding more mouths. And more importantly, it's got a very clear call to action. So what that means is walking you through just a summary of our recommendation that from the moment when they get online, they're directed to your website or your app to order. Then when they're ordering, they're directed to pay the money to donate. Then after they're donated, they're linked to the Facebook or the Twitter. So this requires very little work on the part of your customer, yet it's something that they can do in 10 seconds that's going to change the world and going to reflect on how Pizza Hut is viewed from their consumers. So what this does, as I mentioned earlier, it creates a lasting impact. So whereas the first campaign you had, it was a bit more passive, it was on the side, it wasn't really emphasized. Now with topics to end hunger, it's more bold. You see it. You can't get away from it even if you wanted to, and that's going to create that lasting impact and those repeat donations time and time again.
Excellent. So we want to make sure that when we, once we've built this recommendation, we've also got an implementation plan for you as well. So in phase one, you're going to have to work with some technology people to make sure that you have the capabilities of taking that online or taking that phone call, getting their number, and sending them a text message to get them to link to the online ordering system. Most people are using their cell phones, they're on the go. If it was to send to a home phone, we don't see that being a major issue. And then what we want to do is we want to engage creative on the type of campaign, like the visuals of the campaign that we work with our core creative message that we presented to you. In phase two, we're going to do testing. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we test this in a small market so that we can validate that this is effective and then refine it further to make sure that it is ready to be successful nationwide. And then in phase three, we're going to execute it. We're going to launch this nationally. We're going to begin that daily social media posting because we've got people connected with where they donated and where it made a difference. This really does create a lot of content for the people that are creating content on social media to share for us. And we also will continue to work with creative and the social media task force, as I just spoke to. And then in phase four, we're going to be evaluating. And so we're going to compare data to the metrics of success and then continue to further refine this. So in terms of a timeline, we're currently in Q2. So the planning portion will take the first quarter. Then testing will be fairly extensive as we are working in kind of that small market as Kansas or something similar. And then in terms of execution, we'll be ready for Q4, and then we'll be able to evaluate once we get through that.
So you set up some of your own metrics of success that you want to make sure we could speak to. So those are some of the first ones we're seeing. We want to see an increase of online users or online orders, and we would suggest that you try to increase it to 12% of your sales. This is because that's a competitive number in comparison to Domino's, who is going to be seeing a lot more of their online orders coming in, and we want to make sure you're staying competitively advantageous. The number of donors you want to see increase by 100,000. This is more than attainable with our strategy for you because you sell hundreds of millions of pizzas a year. We think that more than enough will be able to donate $1.25 or $1.50 instead of an extra topping, and you'll see that number of donors skyrocket. The number or the dollar amount we wanted to donate was $2.5 million. We think this is again more than acceptable, based just purely on the number of people that will be using the system, going through the online ordering, and choosing to select that topic or that topping. Finally, we set up some of our own metrics of success to show how this is going to improve your engagement. You're lacking in buzz and presence with your current digital marketing strategy. So we set up some numbers depending on the number of comments or posts or tweets on your Facebook or Twitter platforms and the number of posts that your team itself is making per day. We want to see it at least meet Domino's and surpass it. And that's how we're going to show that this recommendation is successful. There we go. We want to meet and succeed the excess of your competition. Finally, there's a quick breakdown of some costs that we'd be happy to go into more detail with. But what's most important is the return on investment, which is a little hard to quantify sometimes with the digital marketing strategy. But we see that an industry standard conversion rate of 1.5% and the expected impact on your audience, which is currently at 7.5 million, should result in an increase of sales, especially those going through the online ordering system, and hopefully an 80% return on investment. There's risks, of course, with any recommendation. Maybe your franchisees' uses change. We recommend you emphasize the benefits of adapting to trends. And there might be some issues with the actual technical features of the app design or the website ordering system changes, or content might not be fresh. And that's where we're going to work with you to make sure that you're posting new things every day that are engaging for everyone, and maybe providing another option for signing into everything. Next steps, of course, we'd be happy to go into more detail then.
Excellent. So as you can see from our metrics of success, this goes beyond profits. And what this really does is it's connecting the two worlds that I talked to at the beginning. Thank you very much. We'll now open the floor to questions.
Just how companies can help, which is, I think, very excellent idea. How's it driving you to go back to buying things?
I think what really differentiates it from making another type of donation is the fact that it's only costing you $125 and you're actually seeing the results of it. So it's really playing on the fact that you're making an impact, and it not only looks good for yourself because all of your friends are seeing it, but also halfway across the world you know that 3 people had a meal because of what you did.
So it's just my sense of social responsibility, just making an impact.
What's great about this is that charity always makes people feel good. So if they're going through an ordering system, they're feeling good, they're donating, and other people are recognizing that they are aware of the world and there's issues in other parts of the world, they're going to associate that feeling with your brand. The other great thing about it is that it's so easy. So not only is it easy to feel good, but they get pizza out of it. So we think that that will definitely make people come back and buy some more pizzas.
I really like that you recognize some of the challenges I have with my franchisees. And I like what you've done, but I need more convincing because you're asking me to walk away from the most successful thing Pizza Hut's ever done as a company. That's the slice roll. Tell me how this is going to, I lose all that equity the day you start this. How is this going to replace it quickly when you don't get into the marketplace until phase 3, which is 6 months down?
So what our core idea here is to really create something that's sustainable that you're going to use time and time again. So when you're going through that decision process of what you're going to have on your pizza, you always, each time, have that option of adding the donation. And so instead of a one-time donation that you have with the Slice of Hope, it's happening time and time again. So you're going to get a bigger return on there. So we found that it is pretty worth the investment.
You know what the average donation per topic would be, or what it would be? Per order?
Sorry, so we plan to price it the same way that your toppings are priced, and there might be disparity across the nation. So if mushrooms are $1.50 in Washington, then the donation would match that.
Because the reason I ask is that even if the average is $2.50, that's a million customers you need to make my return. $2.5 million.
So it's not just that they will donate that $1.25, but they also have the option of adding more toppings. So if someone was planning to donate $10 anyways, they're going to add 10 toppings. So we don't really think that it prohibits them from donating more. It's just people who maybe are not as willing to donate will take that first step to pay that extra $1.25, which is essentially nothing to them.
I think it was very well stated in the connection as to how they're getting that away. That was excellent. And then placing a personal aspect on the grid somehow. I wonder if you gave any thought to how does the app and how people feel about putting their information up on a worldwide map.
Absolutely. It's not going to be like, oh, since Sally donated, click, I can see exactly where she lives. It'll be the city, so then they'll be able to resonate with that. And in terms of privacy, if they don't want to log in through Facebook or Twitter, they can still do so through email and protect their own privacy.
You talked about Domino's quite a bit throughout your presentation, considering it's such a big threat. I'm curious, this plan of yours, is the focus to steal market share, or is the focus to take your current customer base and get them, I guess, more engaged, whatever that definition is, and why? Is that your strategy?
We don't think that stealing market share from Domino's isn't your largest concern right now, just because you're currently the market leader. What we want to make sure you're doing is maintaining your top position in the industry. So what we're recognizing and why we discuss Domino's so much is just because they have this really effective digital marketing strategy, and we can build off of that as well, but we want to make sure that we are making you better than Domino's. You want to make sure that your competitive advantage is still maintained, and that's how our recommendation